Welcome to the Property Corner with myself, Rowan Alexander. Welcome. It's 2024. I'm excited to be back and share some more information with you over this year. I think it's going to be a good year for the property industry. Certainly some exciting movements happening and things to look forward to. Personally, too, I've undertaken a project that I'm going to be sharing with you guys this year. And I think it will be a nice project to sort of follow along and see how we actually put into practice a lot of these things that we've been talking about. So I'll be sharing more about that in the next episode. And today, I just want to get into what to expect for 2024. I've identified and listed 7 things to look out for in 2024 in the property market, and I'm going to run you through them now. I think the big thing on everybody's mind and that everyone's talking about for 2024 is an interest rate relief. I think everyone's looking forward to a reduction in the interest rates, but I think it's important to understand what that would mean in the property market and the context, because a reduction in the interest rate, whether it be 0.25 or 0.5% or even up to 0.75%, may not and will not create an immediate correction in the market. It doesn't mean that overnight buyers are going to stream back and prices are going to shoot through the roof. It will be a slow and gradual recovery. But I think the important thing and the nice thing to know is that we are nearing that point where we're expecting interest rates to stabilize like they have done at the end of 2023. And then looking into 2024, I think most predictions are that they will remain the same for the first half of the year. Maybe somewhere towards the middle of the year, end of this year, we'll start seeing interest rates reducing. And a bigger effect that this has on the market than an actual, sort of financial implication is the sentiment. It really changes buyer sentiment and the market sentiment. So when interest rates start stabilizing and coming down, people start being more encouraged to transact in property. A lot of people may have been in a position where they want to transact, but they're putting off that decision because there's uncertainty and they don't know where that interest rate cycle will peak. I think we've reached that peak. We hopefully are beyond that. It is the start of the year. There's still a long way to go. There's still a lot that can happen. But if things sort of remain the same, we are hoping to see that interest rate relief coming towards the end of 2024 and that having a positive impact on the property market. Another trend that I think we'll see continuing is semigration, whether it be to urban centers, to the coast, to smaller towns post-COVID, and also largely to the Western Cape. And I think that is a trend which we've seen going back to the early days of my career in sort of 2011 to 2015, 16. That was a very prevalent sort of trend. During the time of the drought and the DA infighting, that did slow down and people, buyers didn't flock to the Western Cape like they did previously. But that trend seems to be picking up again, or has definitely picked up again. But I think it's something that will continue into 2024 and will be a continuous movement. So Western Cape, I think, is the property hub to be watching once again. While some of the other centers in South Africa are showing good growth, always remember that that's coming off a lower base. So the Western Cape property growth year on year has been sort of better than the rest of the country. So if you do start seeing other centers recovering and reporting bigger growth percentages than the Western Cape, remember that it's off a lower base. So again, sort of my approach remains the same. Investment properties that if you want to be spending your money, I think it should be in the Western Cape. And I think 2024 will once again show us that the Western Cape is the place to be doing this. Number 3, I think buyers will still be under pressure. Like we touched on with the interest rates, possibly only coming down towards the end of the year, the cost of living has risen substantially in South Africa over the past 2-3 years. And, I don't know if there'll be any slowing down. We have seen that inflation figures have started to look better, but people still need to adapt. We still see that in the property market, that people first have to accept that, adapt, make changes to their lifestyle, make changes to their finances, and then become used to the new normal. But for most of 2024, we predict that buyers will still be under, quite a lot of pressure, meaning that the buyers' pool will be smaller for 2024. Not necessarily or small, not necessarily smaller than 2023, but we do still see a small buyers' pool for 2024, especially in the first half of 2024. The fourth thing is some good news, and that's that accessibility to finance will continue to be easier in 2024. That's my feeling, at least. And at the end of 2023, we saw a lot of the banks changing their scorecards and criteria, making accessibility to finance easier. When we say changing their scorecards, what these sort of things mean, ABSA have just recently released, this week in fact, they've just released a notice to say that if you buy an investment property and you want to take that future rental into account, they will do that as long as you already own a property. So previously, what they said was you needed to own 2 properties, and then from the third one, they would take the future rental into account, because they wanted to see a track record of you knowing how to manage a investment property and having a good record in that way. So if you had your primary residence and you had 1 investment property, they would take your third investment property, they would take the income that you are still going to earn into account before you actually even have taken ownership of that property. There's no other bank that does that at this stage, and ABSA have made that even easier. In the same way, at the end of last year, we saw Standard Bank and Nedbank reviewing their criteria of the loan to values, where they upped all the property values to which they support 100% bonds. And we also saw extension of the loan terms. So from 20 or 25-year maximums right up to 30-year maximums. So accessibility to finance has become easier, and I think it is something that we will see going on into 2024 because buyers will still be under pressure. The fifth thing to look out for 2024, I think, is I want to call it the year of the build. New developments are definitely going to be less in the market this year. Looking at building plan figures, you'll see that there's a dramatic decrease in building plans having been submitted. And I don't think it's because there won't be any new projects or that people aren't wanting to get projects started. I think that everybody, all developers who sat on land, have reacted already in late 2022 and 2023. They took those projects to market, especially your larger projects that were launched during that period. This would be the year of the build. So the pre-sales have been done. Momentum has been gotten, and now it's a case of actually delivering those projects and selling out the rest of them. That's my feeling. If I look at most of the projects that we are working on and also sort of surrounding us, they're going through that same life cycle where, those initial sales have been done, the momentum has been gained, people now know where those projects are, and the sort of back has been broken to a certain extent, where now from here, the hard graft remains, sort of finalizing and finishing up those projects. Even though that may mean masses of sales in certain projects, we do see that would probably be, the focus would be on executing and finalizing and finishing all the projects from the high volumes of 2022 and 2023. There were very high volumes of building plans in 2022 and 23 submitted. And I think 2024 will be the year of the build, where we see a lot of new projects actually coming out of the ground and being constructed before the focus then returns to actually bringing new projects to market in 2025. This doesn't mean that there won't be any new launches. It doesn't mean that there won't be any new projects coming on board, but I do think it will be less than in 2023. The sixth thing to look out for, and it's almost more of a sort of result of the first 5, is what would happen in the rental market. What do we see happening in the rental market? I think that the rental market pricing will grow quite dramatically. I think you're going to see quite hefty increases in rental this year. For a number of reasons. One is because it's still going to be hard to purchase finance in the first half of the year, or purchase property in the first half of the year, because of the high interest rates and being under pressure with finances. it's gonna make it attractive to rent. And for a number of years preceding, sort of from 2019 to 2022, the rental market was under pressure with a lot of high vacancies and low rentals. 2023, we started seeing the first corrections in the market where landlords started escalating rentals to try and bring them in line with a sort of growth trend. And 2024, I think you're going to really see those corrections coming through, where if previously in 22 and 23, rentals were only escalated by 2% or 5% or 6%. And in some instances, landlords were saying, well, I'm not even going to increase the rent because I don't want my place to stand empty. I do think the sentiment for 2024 will be that rental increases will be bigger than 2023. I think you can expect between 7 and 10% rental increases on most properties, because there will be some attempt to recover from the costs of ownership that have risen over the last 2 years, while rentals have remained relatively flat. So yes, there have been renewals in the last 18-month cycle, but I think most people tended to either keep their rent the same or have only inflationary-linked increases. 2024, I think you're going to be seeing bigger increases in rental. So this leads us to the last and the seventh point to look out for, is what does that do in the sales market? What does it do to pricing, and what does it do to that buyer profile? If rentals are on the up, if rental yields are on the up, that may mean that your investor starts creeping back. If access to finance becomes easier and rental values are higher, it may see a bit of a return of the investor. Not in a huge way, but I do think that people that have been toying with the idea of property investment, this might be the year that actually pushes them over the edge. And again, towards the end of the year, if the interest rates do start reducing or going down, we usually see a property growth trend, price growth trend coming along. So probably for the first half of 2024, pricing to remain relatively stable, maybe slight growth. But I think your property pricing, once the interest rates do start going down, I do think you're going to start seeing property prices recover towards the end of 2024. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope, what I've shared with you, there's something in there that makes you excited. Whether you are a tenant looking to get into buying your first property, whether you've been struggling to get finance, and the hope of accessibility to finance becoming easier excites you. Whether you have a property portfolio and you're looking forward to that capital growth, I think there's something in here, in this year, in 2024, that can and should make you excited. You've just got to find it. You've just got to find, where you fit in this market, and shift and adapt to make sure that you ride the benefits of 2024. So I look forward to sharing some of my stories with you in 2024 and looking if these predictions actually pan out. So stay tuned, like and subscribe our channel if you like what you're seeing. Drop us a comment below and tell us what you want to be hearing more about in 2024. We want to keep it interactive. So thank you.